Good evening and welcome to the CDR round 13. Takes us to the Portimao circuit in Portugal for the Portuguese Grand Prix. And this is a venue where Scotty, the championship leader of the C1 category, can wrap up the title at. We've got just 18 involved for tonight at the moment. And we are doing a full qualifying session, Q1, Q2 and Q3, which means we'll lose the slowest 3 drivers at the end of Q1 and then the slowest 5 in Q2 and then the top 10 battling out for pole position in Q3. So Scotty has a 38-point lead in the championship. In order for him to win the title tonight, he would need to be at least 53 points clear over MDG and, of course, everyone else. And it's a wet qualifying session. Very wet indeed, so I'd expect either the intermediates or the full wets to be used. It'd be interesting to see what setups each of the drivers go for. If I can maybe be informed on the weather, that'd be great. And I've got a few drivers coming in saying hello. Hello to Flicks. Drivers are saying it's so wet, and we're expecting a wet qualifying session and a wet race. So we could be seeing a lot of action on the racetrack here, if it's going to be a wet race as well as a wet quali. Just to look at a few driver changes as well. There's Lurkris in the Mercedes in place of Dalgy. We've got also Cameron Poulter in place of Noodles at AlphaTauri. There's Bills in place of Charlie at Ferrari. And that is that, I think. I think Phelan is also in the Williams, although he may be a full-time driver, actually. Yeah, he's in place of Jai, who is Phelan, so he's substituting for him. And here is Flicks on circuit, looking to get a banker lap in there. We don't want to be pushing too hard, as this lap will be more about exploring the limits and finding where to find the grip. Well, the man who won last time out was MDG, picking up his second victory of the season, which has helped him close the gap on Scotty. He needs to win this race, really, to keep himself in the running. And here's Flicks coming round to start a lap. So here we go. Right on board in these conditions, why not? So Flicks, you want to brake and turn in 5th gear within these conditions. Kept the car within the limits that time. And down to 2nd for turn 3. Turn 4 coming up. Doesn't turn in too much there. And then down this back straight before you brake for the hairpin of turn 5. Here we go, look. Apex not too bad. Through the kink of turn 6, and then you've got a double right-hander of turn 7 where you just need to decelerate, but you may need to brake as well within wet conditions. Turn 8, no problem, got a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. And then you go through turn 9, through the king of 10, and then you brake for 11 and you turn in. Flicks's line wasn't too bad, but the exit wasn't particularly great. Through 13, no problem, then you got the hairpin of 14. And then a banking of 15 before you close down on the lap. And this lap time of Flicks is going to be a 1:27.0. And there he goes to the top. I need to see who else is on the lap at the moment. Well, Red Dog is in the AlphaTauri. He's on 59.6 by sector 2. I'm not sure this lap of his is going to be quicker than Flick's. No, it's definitely not going to be quicker. It's a 1:28.3 for him. Over the line, and it's a 1:26.8. Scotty goes third on a 1:28.2. And Sinksy in place of one of the Alpine cars, with Kelvin not around tonight. And I don't think the Stigger's around either. And Colin going to the top on a 1:26.1. Martin in the Alfa Romeo coming through. Over a 1:27.0, goes slower than MDG, but ahead of Flicks. And Droftus coming towards turn 5. Who else is coming through at the moment? Well, Hamza has just begun a flying lap, as has Bills. And that's Poulter into the barrier, and he's crashed out of the session. So Poulter will not be going any further in this qualifying session. He will be out. Lost the car on the exit of turn 4, and that is his qualifying session coming to an abrupt halt. And he's Recify in the Aston Martin. And that's one of the Mercedes cars staying out of the way. That'll be Lurkis. And it's a 1:27.4 for Recify, so he goes to the top. Colin goes faster than he did so before on a 1:25.4. Bills is coming round to the last corner now. And it's that time of his. It's good enough to put him up to 10th. And it's just good to see who else is improving out there. Well, Red Dog's most certainly improving, although he's thrown it all away with a spin on the exit of turn 13. It's not good news for him. Phelan going quicker than before, though, through sector 2. And Red Dog has been disqualified. Red Dog is also out of qualifying. So he joins Poulter on the sidelines, unfortunately. So that's him gone. Phelan coming through. There he goes, second fastest with a 1:25.5. I'm still losing time through sector 2 at the moment. MDG going for another time lap, but he's down through sector 1 at the moment. Droftus is third on a 1:25.6, so he's going quick at the moment. And with Poulter setting a lap time of 1:51.1, at least he's got a time on the board, which is technically, he is still going to be out. We may end up seeing drivers who've not set a lap time go out with him. Hartnell starting a flying lap now. Lurkis is on a flying lap in the Mercedes. We'll ride on board with him. It's a 59.1 for Lurkis, so we're not expecting to be in the heights of going fastest here. He's got a Red Bull behind him, actually. Of Don Rabico, is it? No, it's Colin, who I think is on the faster lap than he did so before. Well, Joftis gone fastest on a 120.3. Lurkis is coming round the last corner now. And Lurkis posts his first time in the session. It's a 127.3 as Colin goes back to the top with a 125.1. Well, Jay Hartnell's validated his lap time on the lap he's on, so we'll have to go again. And Phelan's gone third, I believe. Unless someone else has just gone over the line. I think it may have been Hamster who's gone up to fifth on a 126.3. Eight minutes to go in qualifying one. And at the moment in the relegation zone are Polter, Don Rabico, Grimjaw and Red Dog. We know Red Dog and Cameron won't be going any further. And Rabico is starting a flying lap now, and so will be Grimjaw. They're pretty much nose to tail at the moment. Hopefully they won't get into each other's way. Don Rabico on a flying lap. We'll go back to Jay Hartnell at the moment because he's further around the circuit and he's going through turn 8 now. Through turn 9 and 10. And brake for 11. And the apex wasn't too bad for him. It's only a 59.5 by sector 2. And looking at the intensity of the rain, it seems to be improving at the moment, so I'd imagine the times will get quicker in the closing minutes of Q1. Hartnell's coming round turn 14 and through 15. Down the banking he comes. This is where it can catch a few drivers out, I'd imagine. He goes over the line and posts a 1 minute 27.7. That puts him 12th. So Scotty down to 14th at the moment. Don Rabico and Grimjaw coming through. Well, Rabico is. Grimjaw's invalidated his lap time, so he'll have to go once more. Rabico will go on to complete his lap. And it's a 1 minute 26.1, and it's good enough to put him in P5. And that should be him safely into Q2. We've seen one of the Mercedes going through as well. That'll be Flicks, posting a 126.2. Now Bills is on a flying lap in the Ferrari. He's going faster than before through sector 1. How is he getting on through sector 2? We'll find out on the timing screen. He's a 10th up by the station, and in too late though, I think, into turn 12, and there was a bit of a glitch, so we'll see how he does in the remainder of this one. Martin in 9th place as well for Alfa Romeo. Bruges in 11th for Williams. And Bill's going up to 5th place. So he found a lot of time in the last sector as well. Found about half a second. So very well done to Bill for finding that amount of time. There's Grimjaw. He needs to get a lap on the board as soon as he can here. Into the last 5 minutes of the session now. Over the line, and it's a 126.6. It's only good enough for a P11. So we now know for certain that it's just going to be 3 drivers being eliminated at the end of Q1. We know the 2 avatars of Red Dog and Polter are gone. Scotty is the one occupying the last elimination spot. He's out on track at the moment. He's about to start his next flying lap now. The driver at risk is Jay Hartnell in 15th. So Scotty needs to find at the very minimum 3 tenths. which he knows he can do. He is the championship leader after all. Just about stayed within track limits as well, did Scotty, but I can't imagine they would gain time by running wide like that. You can see he's a 10.5 down through sector 1. Well, Jay Hartnell's coming through on a massive improvement, and he goes up to P12 with a 1:26.8. He found 9/10 over the course of that last lap. Reservoir is on a much faster lap through sector 1 alone. Where is he by sector 2 at the moment? A full second up. So Reservoir going much quicker than before, and that's because the track is evolving massively. So I think if you're Bruges, you want to be back out there on the circuit. Well, Reservoir is coming through now. And his lap time is good enough for P5. We'll go to Scotty next. MDG goes up to 3rd on a 1:25.4. Scotty currently 16th in the drop zone. Gets himself out of it, but only up to 14th. Now Lurkis is in the drop zone. He's out on track at the moment on an outlap, so he needs to get a move on here, not dawdle around. And Bruges, I'm not even sure if he's going to choose to come back out on track. If I was him, I would very much do so. So Reservoir, I didn't see whether he was improving through sector 1. Oh, Grimjaw nearly losing it there. He wisely lifted off the throttle and backed out of it. So Reservoir coming through sector 2. He's 2/10 up from before. He's in P6 at the moment, is the Aston Martin driver. This is his first appearance in the C1 category, if not in CDR overall. And Bruges is out on the racetrack now, so he needs to get a move on, make sure he gets round in time before the checker flag falls. He's got enough time to do it, so hopefully he won't impede other drivers along the way as Reservoir goes over the line and displaces Grimjaw and going up into 5th position. Lurkis is going 2/10 up from before by sector 1, so he's doing a fine job so far. Is that Bruges ahead of him? It is, but he's far enough away from Lurkis. I don't think Lurkis got the best of exits coming out of turn 5. We'll see how he gets on in the remainder of the lap. Nice and steady on the throttle, coming out of turn 8 through 9 smoothly, through 10, and as you brake for 11. And Lurkis is 2/10 off. He has to lift off the throttle so slightly. And Dom Rabico has retired from the session, but he's only he's done that in the pits, not on the racetrack. So it's likely we will see him back in Q2, but the times are improving. Now Lurkis, can he get himself out of the bottom 3 here? No, he can't. And because he invalidated it there, that means the next lap will be invalidated. So Lurkis is out of qualifying, unfortunately for Mercedes. So Bruges is safe by the skin of his teeth, because he's also exceeded track limits. Sotti can breathe a sigh of relief as well. He doesn't need to finish the lap he's on. I'm sure he will want to improve his lap nevertheless. The checker flag is out now. MDG doesn't improve. Scotty doesn't improve either. He's exceeded track limits on the exit of the last turn. So Jay Hartnell, 13th at the moment. Not where he wanted to be, but I'm sure he can try and find some time on this lap, which he's not doing so at the moment. He's less than a 10th down by sector 2. Hartnell exiting turn 14, and he's going through 15 now, which will see him complete the lap. Is this going to be an improvement in time? Most certainly not, because he's run wide on the exit of 15, and he stays 13th. Hamster's on an improvement though in the Ferrari, and this lap time of his will put him in the top 10 for sure. He goes up into 6th place. Reservoir's lap time at the moment is invalidated. Bills is on a fast lap. And should see him move up the order with this one. He doesn't actually, he misses out by 9 thousandths, but he's safely into Q2 nevertheless. So the 3 drivers we lose at the end of Q1 are the 2 AlphaTauris that spun out on circuit. Nurkis also not getting through and missing out on Q2 by less than a tenth of a second. Colin, fastest at the end of Q1 by 0.2 of a second. And looking at the track, it seems to be continuing to dry. There is still spots of rain hitting the racetrack. Now, there is a bit of a break between Q1 and Q2 in terms of the timing of the session. So maybe once it fast forward by 5 minutes, the track could all of a sudden end up being more and more grippy to the point in which slicks are needed. So at the end of that session, Colin's fastest, but that's not the important point in the session. The important point is in the bottom 3, where Red Dog, Poulter and Lurkis are eliminated. The top 15 go through to Q2. We'll be back very, very shortly. Here we go for Q2. Who will advance into Q3? And I wonder who's going to be brave enough to be out there on a set of slicks. We'll find out in any moment. We can see Phelan has just gone out onto the circuit on soft compound tyres. The rain is still coming down, so it's still greasy and slippy, especially when you go through turn 1. So Phelan makes his way through there. You won't want to be pushing too hard though, so all that will do is just take more and more life out of the tyres. Now if the rain is going to be coming back, then you want to be out there right now and get a time on the board on the slicks. I don't think any more rain is hitting the racetrack, so Phelan, I think, is in fine tune to get a lap on there, but I think the only problem he's got is he's going to be the first driver to start a lap, and once more of the others cross over the line, the track will keep on improving. You can see he's just slowing down there just to make sure he doesn't push too hard. So Phelan coming round. There are 8 drivers out on the circuit. So Phelan starts a lap now on the soft compound tyres. Entering turn 5, 22.60 posted by the end of sector 1. Now he's carrying the momentum into turns 7 and 8. Not pushing too hard on the exit. Feeling entering sector 2, so 53.2 by this point in the lap. So I would say we're expecting around a 1 minute 17 from him with this lap, if not faster. He's coming around the last corner now. I'm not sure if it's going to be a 1 minute 17. It's only a 1 minute 18.6 for him, so that's not a relatively quick time. MDG is crossing over the line as well for Haas. 1:19.0, so he's clearly lost some time somewhere. I think Sinks or Sign or Cynix or Cynix is coming through. And he goes to the top for now with a 1:18.2. And Flex is next in the Mercedes. Droftus goes third on a 1:18.8. Flex goes fastest on a 1:18.2. So I'd imagine the track hasn't quite got to its peak yet. Scotty starts the lap now. Martin is on one. Bruges enters the last corner. And we'll see him cross over the line. It'll be a 1 minute 18.8. And that only is good enough for P4. Martin in the Alfa Romeo going through turns 9 and 10. Grimjaw coming towards turn 13. We'll go to him next. He's on the medium compound. Is the McLaren driver. The other drivers on mediums at the moment are Hartnell, Reservai, and Rabico, who is stuck in the pits at the moment. So we're watching Grimjaw come through. And this lap time of his is a 1:18.3. And it's good enough for P3 there. And Hamster started a flying lap. Scotty as well. Martin goes to the top on a 1:17.9. So this explains my point earlier that if you leave it out there the longest, if you're like the last man over the line, for instance, the better the time is going to be. Scotty will be feeling that in the McLaren. It's a 1:18.7 for him. Hartnell's lap time's been invalidated, and so it's the same for Hamster. MDG coming up behind the Ferrari. Hamster needs to move out of the way here. He knows he's not on a lap anymore. MDG is. MDG going 1.4 seconds quicker than before, so we're definitely seeing the times coming down as it is. MDG looking good enough to go fastest here for Haas. He's coming onto the pit straight now. And it's a 1:17.1, and he goes to the top by quite some margin over Martin in second place. Hamster begins another time lap. Rabico out on the racetrack. Hartnell is also on a lap. Who else is on a fast lap? Well, Scotty's not on a particularly quick one. Reservai coming through in the Aston Martin on a set of mediums. 52.4 by sector 2. Nails the apex nicely, actually. Very smooth through there from the Aston Martin driver. So Reservai, again, a nice line, exiting 14. Uses some of the curb. Stays to the inside for 15. Will he take the shorter route to the line? No, he doesn't do. 1 minute 17.7. That puts him second on the medium compound. That could be handy for him later on. Rabico in the Red Bull on the medium compound. Coming through turn 14. Hamster is behind him as well. So watch these two clock their first lap times of the second part of qualifying. Rabico goes over the line, 1:17.3 for him. And then it's Hamster with a 1:17.5, and he goes third. Now Colin is out on the racetrack on an outlap. Bills is stuck in the pits, so we're still waiting for him to get his first time of the session sorted out. So the drivers who set lap times on the mediums were Rabico second on a 1:17.3, Reservoir fifth on a 1:17.7, Grimjaw in seventh on a 1:18.0, and Hartnell in 12th on a 1:18.8. Just looking to see who is going for better times at the moment. Well, Reservoir is going even quicker by sector 2 than what he did last time. Can he find a little bit more time in the last sector? We'll find out very, very shortly as he goes down the pit straight now. He takes the shorter route to the line this time. And it's paid off, actually. 4/10 quicker than before. And he closes to within 0.06 of a second to Rabico, who's the fastest of all the medium runners. Now he's Phelan out on the track on a set of mediums this time. Posted his earlier time on the soft compounds. He's over half a second up by sector 1. Through sector 2, and he's 0.8 up by sector 2. So Phelan potentially on course. I would be tempted to say for 1:17.7, which would place him in 6th. But he wants to be trying to go for higher than that. Does he take the shorter route to the line? He does. 1:17.5, and he goes 6th fastest with that. Colin coming through for Red Bull as well. Gets his first time in the session, and he goes to P2. Nice lap from Colin, who didn't participate last week in Austin, but he's a race winner at Paul Ricard the round before. Very nice lap from him. So Scotty at the moment in the bottom 5. We'll run through the bottom 5 whilst Scotty's on his lap. Sinks, or Sinix, Scotty, Hartnell, Droftus, and Bills. So it could even come down to last man over the line, to be honest with you, because the track is evolving. And Scotty's lost too much time during the course of this lap. And what is Flicks up to here? He's 4.5 up from before, so he's on a much better lap time than he had posted beforehand. 5 minutes to go in Q2. Nearly 0.3 up by sector 2 for the championship leader, but he needs to find more than that because Flicks, who is currently in 10th, is on a 1:18.2, and he's on a fast lap at the moment as well. So Scotty needs to find all the time he can in the remainder of this lap, which is going to be very hard for him to do so because after sector 2, there's only 4 more corners to get through. It's a 1:18.2, only good enough for P11. Flicks, much faster by sector 2, 9/10 in fact. So this could put him right up there in the low 1:17s here. 1:17.0, and he goes to the top of the timing pages. So Flicks, fastest of all. And that's pretty much his place in Q3, all but sealed. So Flicks slowing down. I wonder if Scotty's on a flying lap. He's not at the moment. He's on a lap that's invalidated. I think most of them are in the pits at the moment, or they just started their out lap. So this is the point now where you really need to make your last flying laps count. Grimjaw is the one at risk in 10th place in the McLaren on a 1:18.0. Now Scotty, I'm sure, has exceeded track limits there, which will see him duck into the pits for another set of tyres. All Sinks. All Sinix has started a flying lap in the Alpine. Currently 12th on a 1:18.2, which is not enough. Needs to be in the 1:17s at the very, very minimum. He's nearly half a second up by sector 1. That's a very good start. And he's exceeded track limits, unfortunately, so Sinex may as well back out of it. We'll go to Droftus next. There's a Williams in front of him that will kindly move out of the way. Droftus is determined to get through on the mediums as well as going faster than before. He's on a 1:18.8. He needs to find more than a second, ideally, with this fine lap. It's a 52.1, which is a full second up from before by the second sector. He's coming into the last turn now. Where will this put Droftus? It'll put him out of the bottom 5. And he's up to 6th place. So he found another half second in the last sector alone. MDG goes fastest on a 1:16.9. Bills is out on the circuit as well for Ferrari, as Reservoir stops in the pits, I believe. And he'll be back for Q3, I would think, later on. There's drivers moving out of the way any way they can at the moment. Just looking to see who's furthest round the circuit to complete a fine lap. Well, Phelan's just started one, or starting one now. Bruges, who is 9th fastest on a 1:17.5, has lost time in the second sector, unfortunately. So he's pretty much on the cusp at the moment of being knocked out. After him, we'll go to Bills, who's coming into turn 14 now. Can Bruges find enough time in the last sector to move him up the order? The answer is no. So he stays in 9th position. Bills next behind for Ferrari. 1:18.0, but it's not enough to get him out of the bottom 5. So this is his last chance to do that. And who's that that's just leapt up the order there? It was one of the McLarens, I think. They may not have been. Well, Phelan's going quicker through sector 2. You can see the sun is out now, shining on the circuit. So more and more grip is going to be found by the drivers. So the checker flag is out now. So anyone on a fast lap can complete it. Jay Hartnell is out of qualifying, 13th. 1:18.1 is not enough. Phelan over the line goes 8th on a 1:17.3. Who's next over the line? It's one of the Alfa Romeos who's just ducked into the pits. We've got one of the Red Bulls going through at the moment. That is Rabico, who's on an invalidated lap time. There is Bruges, who's not on a fast lap either. And Sinix is at the moment going a lot quicker by sector 2. It's going to be nip and tuck at the moment. Bruges is the one at risk. We'll look out for Scotty as well, and Grimjaw. I think Scotty and Grimjaw's gone off at turn 13. So he's out of qualifying, unfortunately. Sinix is also out. Didn't make it. Missed out by half a tenth. Bills is not on a fast lap. So it's all down to Scotty here. It'll be either him or Bruges joining Sinix, Grimjaw, Bills and Jay Hartnell on the sidelines. Scotty over the line, only 13th. So the championship leader, once again, is knocked out in Q2. And Colin Coxon over the line now. So the drivers they've got through on the mediums are Colin, John Rabico, Reservoir, Droftus and Phelan. So half out of the top 10, which is good to see. But the drivers who are out, they are Sinix, Grimjaw, Scotty, Bills and Jay Hartnell. Very close as well. Only a tenth and a bit separated Hamster in 9th to Scotty in 13th. So at the end of that session, MDG was fastest, but the 5 drivers I've only mentioned, Sinix, Grimjaw, Scotty, Bills and Jay Hartnell won't be going any further. The top 10 will be who will be on pole position in around 12 minutes' time. We are back then for the final session of qualifying. Who will prevail and who will be on pole position? Well, it looks to be MDG at the moment going through it. Well, most certainly not Colin, because he's decided that he's not going to go out there for a lap, which is surprising because he'd have been handed an extra set of the soft compound tyres to do a lap in Q3 if he wanted to do that, but he thought better of it. Well, I say better of it, he thought otherwise. We can see two Aston Martins heading out onto the track there. Droftus, who was on pole in Austin, I believe, a week back. Could he be a contender for pole here today? He's got his teammate Reservai behind him, being called in as a reserve. The Aston Martin seat, or one of the Aston Martin seats in the C1 category of the CDR, is currently vacant. Could he be the person to fill that in for the remainder of the season? We've got 2 more races to go after this one. And they are in Mexico. And the last round will be in Brazil. So the 9 drivers that are remaining in the session are now out on the racetrack. So Droftus coming through. It's quite a long run down to the line, actually, even though the line is pretty close once you get onto the straight. It's a very long drive from the exit 14 to the line. You see Droftus was already up to more than 300 kilometres per hour by the time he started his flying lap. Through turn 1, that was a very nice entry there. He did it in 5th gear, actually, as well, did Droftus. Into turn 3, he did it in 3rd gear there. Takes a nice line through 4 without going too far wide. DRS open for the Aston Martin driver. 21.8 by sector 1. That's a very good time through there. Slows the car down for turn 5. And he takes a very neat line there, straightens the car up before getting the power down. Decelerates for turn 7. And he brakes for turn 8. 3rd gear initially, then turning up to 4 as he's going through the apex. Then down the hill, I should say. Then through the gears. Through 9 and 10, and then you brake for 11. Nails the apex, not taking too much curve, taking some curve on the outside, gets off the curve for a moment before he turns in for 12. 13, the next braking zone, very lovely through there, no question. And then he turns in for 14, the penultimate turn, through 4th gear at the apex, on the exit, straighten the car up the gears, take the short route past 15, and Droftus will go over the line with a 1 minute 16.5. That's the best time we've seen in qualifying so far. Let's see how Reservai is getting on. He's taking the shorter route to the line, and he goes on a 1 minute 17.1. And just looking to see what is it Bruges who's next over the line? No, it's Phelan next over the line in the Williams. His ERS running out. We're going on board with him over the line, and he goes P2 with 116.6. MDG coming through. Martin's posted a 117.3. And MDG posted a 1 minute 17.3, but he's gone slower than him, so we expected more from MDG than what we saw there. Here is Flicks, posted a brilliant sector 2 time. 117.0 for him. He goes up to 3rd place. We've got Bruges next over the line for Williams. And it will also be a 1 minute 17. It's a 1 minute 17.6, so slowest of all the times at the moment. And then we've got Don Rabico, who's not going particularly quick on this lap. So is that just a preparation lap he was doing? It may well be, just to burn off a little bit of fuel before he starts his more representative flying lap. Hamster's out on the circuit at the moment for Ferrari. I wonder if he exceeded track limits on the previous lap. He did. We'll stay with him for a moment and see if he is actually improving on his lap time. Didn't see it through sector 2, but I can't imagine it had been very, very quick. Yeah, he's already done a lap actually on those tyres as Hamster. So that will explain things. I've just been informed that Colin has been given a Q3 ban for something that happened in the last race he was involved with, so that could well explain it. Thank you very much. So it's a 117.3 for Hamster, which puts him up to P6. We'll go back to Don Rabico because he's going on a much quicker lap this time. 51.9 by sector 2. So this is more like what we're expecting to see from the man who I think finished on the podium in Paul Ricard. He's coming through turn 15 now. And the start time from Don Rabico is good enough for a 1:16.9. Third fastest for him, which is not too bad. Very nice job from him. And MDG's on an invalidated lap time, so he may as well get back to the pits. Some are already in there, including Phelan and Droftis and Flix and Reservoir and Martin. I don't think Rabico is going for another time lap here. He's way down anyway, so may as well come away from him. So far it's Droftis who's fastest on a 1:16.5, more than a tenth clear of Phelan in second on a 1:16.6, and it's Don Rabico in third on a 1:16.9, Flix in fourth on a 1:17.0, Reservoir in fifth on a 1:17.1, Martin in sixth on a 1:17.3, and it's Hamster in seventh on a 1:17.3, MDG in eighth on a 1:17.3, and Bruges in ninth, yes, a 1:17.3. So some very close up times so far. Can any of these find any more on their final runs? Now remember, Scotty, who's out in Q2, went into this round with a 38-point lead over MDG. Jago is another 22 points adrift in third. So for Scotty to win the championship today, he would need to outscore MDG by at least 15 points. And he can do that with a podium finish and hope that MDG doesn't score. Considering that Grimjaw Jagger is in third place as well, Scotty would have to hope that Grimjaw doesn't win the race. We've got one of the Aston Martins heading back out. That is Droftis. With 4 minutes to go. Now Droftis, who I'm just looking to see if he's already won a race this season. He's won at Silverstone when he was called in as a reserve. He competed last season in the C1 category, and I think he won in Austin as well, so he's done very well. I'll be interested to see if he remains in the CDR next season and potentially pose a title threat. Well, Droftis begins. It could well be his last attempt. Into turn 1. No problem whatsoever. He brakes for turn 3. Nicely done through that. I think it was something like a 21.7 he posted last time. By sector 1. Oh, he's invalidated his lap time. He may as well forget it. He may as well forget it. So he won't be going faster than before on that. And I think Phelan's backed off on this lap as well. So he may as well... I think he's just doing a preparation lap. So we'll go to Rabico next. So through turn 3 he comes. Rear wing open. He's nearly 2 tenths up from before, so it's a very good start here for Rabico, but he needs to find more than 4 tenths if he is to get to take pole position away from Droftis. The next one behind him, I believe, is MDG, who's on a fast lap. So we'll go to MDG after Rabico has done this lap. There's one of the Aston Martins moving out of the way. I think that may well be Reservoir, who's on his out lap. So Rabico didn't quite pick up on his time in sector 2. I'll have a look back on the stream. He was nearly 3 tenths up by sector 2. Still not enough at the moment. So let's see how much time he can find in the last sector. 1 minute to go now. Rabico over the line for Red Bull. He's lost a little bit of time and he remains in 3rd place. So we'll go to MDG next. Quicker than before, but not very much in comparison to last time. He goes up to 6th place with a 1:17.1. Reservoir starts his last lap now. Bruges coming over the line. Is this going to be a faster lap time than before? Only by 0.02 of a second, so he may as well just go again and see what happens. One of the Ferraris will be starting the flying lap shortly. MDG going faster through sector 1 already. And Droftis has already invalidated his lap time through sector 2. He'll get over the line before the checkered flag, so this will be his last attempt. Phelan, 2 tenths up by sector 2. This could be him going on to provisional pole position here. Does he do it? He does! By nearly 2 tenths of a second. So Phelan on provisional pole in the Williams. But wait and see how the others get on. Rabico is not on a fast lap, so his qualifying session's done. Reservoir has lost time in the 2nd sector, so he won't be going any faster. Neither will MDG. Martin, nearly 2 tenths up by sector 2. Hamster's on an invalidated lap time. Bruges not going any faster, so I'm just looking to see what Droftis is on at the moment. He's only 8 thousandths down by sector 1. So he's the main threat to Phelan here in the battle for pole position. Coming through turns 9 and 10. Has Droftis found enough time by sector 2 here, I wonder? No, he's 2 tenths down from before. I think it's going to be too much here for Droftis to claw back here in these last 4 corners. He's gone through 2 of them already. This is the 3rd one. We'll go to Martin, who's directly behind him. Droftis taking the shortest line possible without exceeding track limits. This is not going to be enough for him to take pole. He misses out. Martin over the line. He improves to 4th place. Very well done to him. Getting himself up there. Found 4 tenths on that lap alone. But Phelan is on pole position for Williams in Portimao. Very, very well done to him. And Phelan celebrating like he's already won the race, but there's still 33 laps ahead of him before he can think about doing that. But it was a brilliant lap time, and he'll be very, very pleased with himself, no question. And so Droftis will be in P2 ahead of Rabico and Martin, with Flix and Reservoir on the 3rd row. MDG, Hamster, Bruges, and Colin, who didn't get out, who didn't go out on the circuit, I should say, rounding out the top 10. There are no drivers with grid penalties either, so the grid order is as it is at the end of qualifying. So your grid order is as follows. So Phelan and Droftis are on the front row together with Phelan on pole. Rabico third ahead of Martin, and it's Flix and Reservoir on the third row. MDG and Hamster on row 4. Bruges and Colin running out the top 10. We'll run through the remainder of the grid when the formation lap gets underway. Do not go anywhere, folks. We could be in for a belter. So we're raring to go for the race. The driver's been told not to ready up until the host of the lobby say so. It just gives the others the chance to sort out their tyre and fuel strategies before we get underway here in Portimao for the third to last race for C1 in Season 2. Thank you very much to all those who have tuned in to watch and liking, and do make sure you subscribe to the CDR Racing League channel if you can. We want to be getting to 100 subscribers by the end of tonight. So if you can do that and contribute, that'll be very good. Well, the formation up gets underway, and we'll run down on who lines up where. So as I've already mentioned, Phelan and Droftis are on the front row, with Phelan ahead of the Aston Martin driver. Then it's Don Rabico and Martin on the second row, followed by Flix and Reservoir next in 5th and 6th. MDG and Hamster are on the 4th row, with Bruges and Colin rounding out the top 10. Cynics and Grimjaw line up on row 6 ahead of Scotty and Bills. Jay Hartnell and Lurkis make up the 8th row, and on the last row of the grid are the two AlphaTauris of Cameron Poulter and Red Dog. In terms of strategies, well, it's pretty mixed throughout the grid. Those who are on softs are Martin, Flix, MDG, Hamster, Bruges, Lurkis and Cameron Poulter. Grimjaw is the only driver on hards. The rest are on the mediums. Now, we are expecting a one-stop race, although some may try and gamble on a 2 if they so wish so. Or if they wish so, I should say. And from what I've been told by Flix, it's going to rain near the end of the race, then go back to dry, which is going to make it even more interesting. So it's going to be about being on the right tyres at the right time for these guys. I haven't been told when exactly the rain is going to come down, but I'd imagine by the third waypoint, and then the next third of the race it's going to be rain, and then towards the end it's going to be dry again. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do see a few drivers being caught out by the conditions. Well, Phelan is coming back towards the grid now. Portimao, which the circuit opened in 2008, designed by Ricardo Pina. Portimao was once part of F1's testing roster, and it's been hosting MotoGP races annually. The first Formula 1 race was, of course, in 2020, as Formula 1 was desperate to find some circuits to fill in response to the pandemic. More on that another time. Go back to today's race. Phelan on pole ahead of Justice alongside. 5 red lights will eliminate. When they extinguish, the drivers will go racing here in Portugal. It's lights out and away we go. Phelan gets off the line very, very well. Justice not so good. He's got the Red Bull of Rabico alongside down into turn 1, but it looks like Justice has the inside line. He's going to remain in P2 ahead of the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo. So Phelan leads. There's the Alfa Romeo of Martin diving to the inside of Rabico for 3rd place, and he's still ahead of him. So Martin up to 3rd place. It looks like it's a clean start for all the drivers, with Phelan remaining clear. Justice in 2nd place, Martin 3rd, Rabico 4th, and look further behind because Flix is down the inside of the Red Bull and he goes through ahead of him. So Flix gets past up into 4th place ahead of Rabico. There's MDG in 6th, Hamster 7th, Recify 8th, Colin 9th, and 6th up into the top 10 for Alpine. And Scotty, the championship leader. Oh, sorry, oh, that's MDG spun! MDG spins going on turn 8, nearly took out the Mercedes with him. Oh, one of the stewards may have a word with him about that, but he was very lucky because the car did ghost. Otherwise, that would have been a head-on collision with another driver already got T-boned. Scotty losing another position there to Lurkis, so Scotty going backwards at the moment in the McLaren, only in 13th place. And now he's got the Red Bull there behind, and that's one of the McLarens going for a spin, and that's Grimjaw. And none of one of the contenders, well, slim contenders for the championship, going round. And he's got with it all to do from there, unfortunately. So Grimjaw backwards at the moment as the drivers complete lap 1 with Phelan leading, with Justice in 2nd place and Martin 3rd. Remember, there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the race. Bill is in the pits for Ferrari. He must have front wing damage, and so that will send him down to last position. And Colin up 2 places to 8th at the moment, so he's got off the line okay. And that's Lurkis going down the field. He must have made a mistake on the exit of turn 4. It has done. Please keep the car out of the wall, and he does so. So Lurkis able to continue on his way, and that's Poulter tussling it out with the championship leader of Scotty for 11th position. But Scotty remains in front for now. As it stands with Scotty as he is, he would not clinch the championship today. He would need to finish on the podium to stand any chance of clinching it. Even though MDG is down in 15th place, it would not be enough for him to seal the championship here in Portugal. Meanwhile, Phelan continuing to lead. Justice behind in 2nd place, with Martin keeping him under pressure on the softer compounds. There are 2 DRS zones on this racetrack, as Lurkis goes for another spin in the Mercedes at turn 12. Has continued. I was going to say, with the DRS enabled, there are 2 DRS zones, one on the back straight between turns 4 and 5, the other on the pit straight. As we watch Martin close up behind the Aston Martin of Justice. And Lurkis now with the first time penalty of the race for track limits. And Lurkis continuing to have his own melodies behind, so he's finding it very, very difficult out there, and he's lost his front wing, so that'll be him ducking into the pits. And with the debris left over there, that could be enough to trigger a virtual safety car. So not good news for Lurkis' race. And getting another time penalty now, so Lurkis needs to make sure he just keeps his driving standards in check here. He knows he's without a front wing, so he needs to go slower through the corners. So Phelan coming over the line to complete lap 3. Justice able to use the DRS on this occasion. There's Rabico behind Flix in the battle for 4th position. I've just seen MDG get past Jay Hartnell for 14th place. Does Hartnell fight back though? The answer is no. MDG has it covered and remains in 14th place. And Scotty at the moment struggling in 11th position as Poulter gets a time penalty now for track limits. The 2 going through turn 5 Scotty able to defend the position. So Droftus remaining within a second of the Williams ahead. And Nurkis is in the pits now for Mercedes, and to no surprise, he is out of the race. So his race ends after only 3 laps of racing. It was going to be very difficult for him to come back from where he has ended up. And Droftus with a new fastest lap, 1 minute 19.5, I believe it is, yep. So he's putting the Williams under more pressure now. He did so in the earlier laps. And Phelan now with a time penalty, so he's exceeded track limits too many times, and he's been given a 3-second time penalty as a result of it. So there's Flix in 5th position behind Don Rabico. Poulter has got ahead of Scotty, actually. So, in fact, both AlphaTauris have got ahead of Scotty. So, Scotty's dropped back in all of this. I wonder if Scotty got overtaken on the pit straight by the first AlphaTauri of Red Dog, and then Cameron Poulter in the second DRS zone in between turns 4 and 5. And now he's got his arch rival in the championship, MDG, right on his tail. This is important for MDG to get past him here. It may only be for 13th place, but he definitely needs to finish ahead of him. And at the moment, Scotty is going backwards. MDG looking to the outside. He may complete a switcheroo here on the exit of 14. Here we go, look. They're going to go side by side through turn 15. And MDG, is he through ahead of Scotty here? They're both going to have the DRS because they are within a second of the car ahead of them. So, MDG to the inside into turn 1, gets ahead of his championship rival. So MDG goes through, but Scotty's fighting back, but has to accept defeat on this occasion. So, Scotty down to 14th position now, with Jay Hartnell for company. And Droftus is through as well. So Droftus takes the lead from Phelan whilst we're watching that, as Grimjaw gets a time penalty for track limits. So we do apologise for not picking up on the battle for the lead, but we now know the result of it with Droftus ahead. But is Phelan going to fight back at him? I think he may as well. He has got a time penalty to his name. We've both got a decent level of ERS remaining. So Phelan will be thinking about whether to go past Droftus or just sit back behind him until the pit stops get underway. Droftus posting a new fastest lap as well. Phelan remaining in touch. Does he get ahead of Droftus on this occasion? And there's Jay Hartnell in 15th position behind Scotty as they exit turn 5. Grimjaw next behind in 16th with Bills at the back. I think he's just coming for another pit stop actually. A few laps ago, or was it the end of lap 1? I think those are the tyres he came in or put on at the end of lap 1. He's setting some decent laps though. Here's Bills, which could come in handy. If he can get the fastest lap of the race, it might prove handy later on. Go back to the battle for the lead at the moment because Phelan is behind Droftus. And Phelan, I think, is going to go back into the lead again. Here we go, look, side by side. And Phelan's back into the lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix. So Phelan back ahead. And whilst we're watching that, Rabico has got in front of Martin now. So Rabico up to P3. Flix next to hunt down Martin. nose to tail at the moment. We've just seen Reservoir get the fastest lap of the race, or set the fastest lap of the race. He's running out of ERS at the moment, though. Compare that with the leaders, where Droftus, in fact, in second place, has got more than 70% of ERS. So he's conserved his battery very, very well, actually. We're on lap 8 of this race. I'm just thinking, if it's going to rain later on, is it going to be enough rain to convince the drivers that intermediates are the way to go? Because just because it rains doesn't mean that intermediates are needed to be put on, because it's the crossover point from being on slicks to intermediates. So don't assume that the drivers are going to be on intermediates straight away when the rain comes down, because that's not necessarily always the case. Oh, someone's off there. That's Red Dog. Oh, he caught the gravel trap on the exit there, and that has allowed Scott to go past him. I thought he was going to go straight into the scene of an accident, but luckily he caught that in time. Martin's now been penalised for track limits as well, so he's the 4th driver to be given a time penalty for track limits. Now Droftus in P2, keeping in touch with the Williams. Rabico needs to get in here as well, because he's losing time battling with the likes of Martin, Flix, Reservoir, Hamster and Colin. So it's a 6-car battle for the final podium position. So Martin, Flix, Reservoir and Hamster in a Red Bull sandwich. MDG, the latest now to be penalised. 3 seconds it is for him. And Droftus knows he's not going to be overtaking Phelan on this occasion, so there's no point wasting the battery. And Bruges is in for Williams. What tyres are going to go on here? This is an interesting question. Well, we know obviously he's not going to go on intermediates, but in terms of which compound it will be, it's going to be the medium compound. Bill receives a time penalty for track limits. And this is him going back out now. There is the Ferrari coming down the pit straight. And Bruges gets out in front of the Ferrari. I think Bills will have the DRS here and move in front of the Williams. Although Bruges is pulling away, actually, given that he is on better tyres than the Ferrari is. Now, are we going to see a change of leadership again? Because Droftus is right on the gearbox of Phelan. I think he's too far back to think about having a go. So Phelan starts lap 11. Still in the lead, but he has that penalty hanging over him. It's the top 15 that score points in CDR. 25 for the win, 20 for second, 16 for third, 13 for fourth. Right the way down to 15th position to get 1 point, providing they do finish, of course. The point system is different to what it is in real life form. The one someone's gone off in Sector 1, I couldn't quite tell who that was. I don't know if it was Red Dog that went wide or someone else. But it's cleared away nevertheless. So it's looking good for the top 2 to finish in the top 2. But which way round will it be by the checkered flag? Now with Scotty at the moment in 12th place, he would get only 4 points, MDG would get 5. So as it stands, the championship gap would come down by just a point, which will be 37 between those two drivers heading into the penultimate round in Mexico. Martin, Flicks, and Hamster are into the pits. And Flicks gets medium tyres put on. What does Hamster do here? He also gets soft tyres on. Well, he gets soft tyres on, I should say. Martin out on the set of mediums. MTG in for Haas. Mediums going on for him as well. He'll rejoin in last place, but he'll have some clean air for himself. So Phelan continuing to lead. We expect these two to stay out, probably until the rain hits the racetrack. And Cameron Poulter in 7th place, the only driver yet to stop after starting on the soft compound, so I'd imagine he'll be in the pits at the end of this lap. And someone's gone off. Is that Hamster off the racetrack? It is at turn 8, but he's continued on his way. Gets overtaken by Bruges, and he gets overtaken by his teammate Bills as well. Reservoir with the fastest up of the race, 1 minute 19.2. So he's on good form today, actually, his Reservoir, despite being called in as a reserve for tonight. Hopefully we'll see more of him in the future in the CDR. Hamster gets back ahead of his teammate, which is not a surprise. And he'll want to get into DRS range here and get a move on here and pass Bruges as soon as he can. Poulter gets a time penalty for track limits. I think that's his second one of the race, and it is. There is Bills coming back into the pits for Ferrari. And I think he'll go on to the soft compound tyre. If he's thinking that it's going to rain later on, which it hasn't done so yet. He's gone on to another set of the soft compound, so he'll be going back out. So Phelan still in front. But what about Droftus behind? Is he going to be within striking distance to have a go? Well, Phelan's gone to the right to prevent Droftus getting the toe and the slipstream, and Phelan will remain ahead on this occasion. So Colin behind Reservoir in the battle for 4th. There's Cynics on its own in P6. Hartnell the next to be penalised for track limits. He's just been overtaken by Martin and Flex. As you can see, Poulter into the pits now for Alpha Tauri. He'll drop down to 16th. Mediums go on. So Droftus behind Phelan. Been sticking to each other like glue since the race had started. You can see Droftus's ERS battery is completely full. And Phelan's battery is only at around 50%. So, but Droftus is coming in. And if he's coming in now, it'll be the hard tyre going on. And someone's gone off in sector 2. Is that Grimjaw has gone for a spin? That's his second spin of the race, unfortunately. But we want to go back to Droftus, who's in the pits for the hard compound tyres. Now, I wonder if Williams will react to this and cover him. Well, Sinix goes past him. But I think Droftus should get out in front of Red Dog. He's going down the pit straight now. Yep, he'll remain ahead of him, no question. So Droftus rejoins in 6th place and with clean air. So Williams needs to make a decision here. Well, Phelan needs to make a decision. Does he come in? Or does he remain out there and go for the soft compound later on? I think, to be honest, he may decide to do the latter, but we'll see. So Reservoir goes up to 4th place now. behind Colin, who's just passed him. Bill's with the new fastest lap of the race, but he's way down in 17th position, so he would not get that point as it stands. And Scotty is rejoined in 16th position after his pit stop, so he's got with it all to do now to salvage anything from this race. Rear wing open on Reservoir's car. Colin keeps hold of the position in third. As Sinix comes into the pits for Alpine. I would imagine this is going to be the hard compound being put on. Partner will go past. Hamster will move ahead of Bruges here. No problem. And Sinix will rejoin ahead of MDG in 12th position. And Scotty's move ahead of Grimjaw now, who's had a real lackluster of a race. It just hasn't got better for him, has it? So Phelan remaining out there. Still setting some decent times. I mean, that lap was 4/10 off from his personal best. I'm looking at Droftus at the moment as Rabico comes into the pits for Red Bull to put on the hard compounds. What will Droftus do here, I wonder? Well, what times is he setting? As you can see, Grimjaw going for another spin on the exit of turn 8, but has continued. That was his personal best lap of the race. It was a 1:19.4 for him. So he's definitely closing in, but not by much. And Rabico exits the pits behind Martin and Flick. So Rabico was undercut by the pair of them. It's got a bit all to do between now and the checkered flag as Red Dog comes into the pits. And he's out on his way. Poulter will go through, as will Scotty. Well, it's very nearly contact between the two, actually. But Scotty's through for now. Such a shame for Grimjaw at the moment. The man who I think has won twice this season. Well, once, I think it was in Spain that he got that victory, but since then things haven't been right for him. Well, Phelan still leads. Reservoir, I think, is doing the same strategy as is Colin and keeping in touch with him with the DRS. There seems to be a few Colin fans out there in the live chat. We do welcome you. Colin doing a fine job in third place, but he's still yet to make his first stop. Other than the top three, the only driver yet to pit in this race is Grimjaw, who started on the hard compounds, and it's not paid off for him, unfortunately. He's down in 17th and last position, but at least he's still on the lead lap nevertheless. Also with a time penalty now for track limits. That's his third one of the race. And Phelan using the ERS he's got to his advantage until he's made his way up to the top speed. As Colin's in. So Colin decides the time is right to pit him. So what compound of tyre is he going to go on though? He's going to go onto a soft. So it's actually early to be going on the soft compound. Can he do 15 laps on those? Maybe possible with the lighter fuel load. But we'll have to wait and see. Droftus goes back into third place though. Flicks, Rabico and Martin will also go by him, no question. And it looks like Grimjaw has gone for yet another spin. And I think he might have reset to the track as well. So the stewards will be having words with him afterwards to see if he has actually done that. So Phelan gets by him and laps him. Hartnell pits in for Alfa Romeo. And he'll come back out. Will he get out in front of Bills? He's going down the pit straight now. He might be able to. And he does remain ahead of him. So Hartnell rejoins in 15th place. And Grimshaw into the pits for McLaren. And I think this is going to be his race over, to be honest with you. Yeah, out of the race. And that all confirms that Grimshaw is out of the running for this season's cycle now. As Reservoir comes into the pits for Aston Martin. And Reservoir rejoins behind Colin, I think, who's going down the pit straight now. And he's got that McLaren ahead of him, just is retiring from the race. So I don't think that made any difference, to be honest with you. But Reservoir has got some catching up to do now, if he is maybe to salvage a podium finish. And Phelan gets his second time penalty of the race now. He didn't need that at all. So 6 seconds worth of time penalty will not put him just back behind Droftus, but into the clutches of Rabico as well, and the pack chasing him. So Phelan's going to have an awful amount of work to do between now and the checkered flag. So he remains out there for another lap. Another 1 minute 19 he has posted. Making good use of the clear track, but so is Droftus as well, so Phelan needs to find some decent lap times, and now the clouds are surrounding the circuit. The rain hasn't hit the track yet. The gap that Phelan has over Droftus is currently 22.9 seconds. Red Dog picks up another time penalty for himself now, so he's on 6 seconds worth. That'll help Scotty, actually, who would move up another position. MDG is in 11th place as well, more than 10 seconds ahead of the AlphaTauri, so as it stands with the penalty, he wouldn't lose anything. Don Rabico now with a time penalty, so that's going to be good news for Flicks, who's in the battle for the podium positions. Now, what will Phelan decide to do here? Well, I'd imagine he'll remain out there for as long as he physically can before he ducks into the pits for whatever tyres. Now, he's got to... Well, he's ducking into the pits now, actually. Which, you know, it's a bit of a surprise, because I would have thought to have seen if he decided to remain out there until the rain has actually hit the racetrack. So Droftus will go back into the lead. So Phelan pits in. Soft tyres go on. He's out on his way. And Droftus will go back ahead of him. Not by much, though. So Phelan rejoins in second with 12 laps to go. Now, with the fresher tyres he's got, Phelan needs to make them count. He's got slightly more ERS left in there than Droftus at the moment. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he passes him straight away and pulls away. The fact that he's on soft tyres that are 7 laps fresher than Droftus' hard tyres that have done round about that mileage. But Phelan is a man on the mission at the moment. Can he get past the Aston Martin straight away? He needs to do so, really, if he's going to maximise the performance of the Williams with the soft tyres he's got on. And he's most certainly within range to use the DRS, so here we go, look. So rear wing open on the Williams now. Is the Aston Martin going to go defensive here? I don't think Justice will do, to be honest with you. Feeling to the inside, and he's back into the lead of the race. But for how long? Because he's going to need to pull away here, out of DRS range, so that Justice does not get back ahead of him. I think the rain has started to come down now. It has, so we just saw a splash of rain hitting the halo of Justice's Aston Martin. So, is this a twist in the tail in this race? If the rain is going to come down, which it is now, how hard will it be to the point which intermediates are needed? Answers on a postcard. And whilst we've been watching that, Robico's held on to third at the moment, ahead of Flix and Martin. Martin has a time penalty to himself, so as it stands, Colin would be moving up 2 positions. And Bills gets a penalty now for corner cutting. He's off the track as well as Bills with Jay Hartnell. So I'm not sure what's happened there. But Bills won't be too pleased with getting that penalty, to be honest with you. Neither will Jay Hartnell. And Phelan is going to cross over the line, I think, and post a new fastest lap. He doesn't actually, to be honest with you. He just missed out by less than half a tenth, so I think that's his chance of getting the fastest lap all but over now because of the rain coming down. He's more than a second clear now of Justice, so he'll be able to pull away at all costs. There's MDG, currently running in 11th place as Bruges gets a time penalty for track limits. That's his first one of the race. Now, MDG, as it stands, would not lose any positions. Scotty would move up 1, but only by the narrowest of margins. Scotty's had a below par performance today, to be honest with you, as Bills retires in the pits, out of the race. So he's the third driver to exit this one, as Hartnell comes back into the pits, presumably for a new nose cone. And is this intermediates going on for him? It is. So Jay Hartnell decides to gamble. He hasn't got anything to lose, I suppose. And he's going to come out just behind Phelan, actually. He might hold up the Aston Martin. He needs to remain out of the way here, and he does so. So we're on lap 25. 9 laps to go. And Flix still harassing the Red Bull of Rabico as they go through turn 5. And Reservoir is down to 7th place at the moment. Hamster 8. Doesn't have a penalty at the moment. Now, those who are on old tyres, like Hamster is at the moment, he's been on the softs for more than 12 laps now. And Jay Hartnell out of the race. He's pointed the wrong way on the racetrack. And that is his race over. So no points for him today. Definitely too soon to be on the intermediates. So what will Phelan do here? Will he remain out there on slicks? Or does he decide to come in for intermediates? You can see the raindrops splashing onto the racetrack. Draftis has dropped back from him. And Phelan is nearly on the cusp of pulling out the 6 seconds he needs in order to win this race. And Scotty's out of the race now. He's crashed out on the exit of turn 8. Now, is that going to be enough to bring out the safety car within parts there? Don't know how the championship leaders managed to do that, but Hamster's in the pits now for intermediates. The DRS has not yet been disabled by the by race control. It's going to be watched. Yeah, he's binned it on the exit of turn 8 there as Scotty said that's his race over. So we'll see how Hamster gets on here. We are close to that crossover point now. Now, what will Phelan decide to do here? Is he going to gamble and go on intermediates? Or does he remain out there on the tyres that he is on right now? I think he will be coming in. It's just a matter of when he'll come in. Well, Droft has decided to stay out as well. What about Rabico? Flix has decided the time is... Oh, that's the Red Bull in the wall! That's Colin! So Colin's spun into the barrier, and luckily, the car is not terminally wrecked. You've just got to be really careful in terms of how you duck into the pits. Now, will Bruges come in? He takes it more steady through there, as does Sinix and MDG. So I think the time is right to be on the intermediates. Now, Phelan's pulled out more than 6 seconds on Droftus at the moment. Flix is now back out on intermediates. So I think Reservoir and Rabico are going to miss out horribly here. I think Droftus will be okay. And so will Phelan. And despite that mistake at pit entry, Collins rejoined in 7th position, but he did not need to do that. That was a bad mistake on his part. But Phelan stays out. Phelan has stayed out there on slicks. Droft has decided to come in. And Rabico coming in for Red Bull. Slowing down just in time there, but Reservoir doesn't quite do that. He gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And he had to wait for his teammate to be serviced first a little bit as well, so that'll cost him even more time. And Martin gets another time penalty for track limits. Now, Flix is coming down the pit straight. Goes up to 4th place ahead of Reservoir, as does Martin. And look at Flix going side by side with Rabico here. The DRS has now been disabled, so Phelan, now on the slicks, he's got to come in. He does not have a choice. Now, does he risk it and remain out there on slicks, or does he come in? I think he's going to have to come in. He needs to make sure he goes through pit entry carefully here, but he decides to stay out. So with 5 laps to go, can Phelan prevail in the rain on slick tyres? Now it's getting less and less grippy out there now, so he needs to take it very, very steady. You can see the screeching of the tyres as you go through turn 3 there. Is he going to do enough though? That's the £1,000,000 question. So for Droftus to win this race, he just needs to be within 6 seconds of Phelan by the time the checker flag has fallen. Now the rain is not like hard to think about maybe going to wet, but I was told that before the race started that the rain was coming through in the middle part and then stopped towards the end. So could Phelan's gamble be paying off here, as MDG has gone off the track and he's hit the wall as well, so that's him going into the pit lane. And it's not been a good one for him, unfortunately. And MDG will fall behind Red Dog. Oh, and Phelan going too quick there through 15. He's managed to gather it all up and using the ERS on the pit straight to gather as much speed as he can through here, and probably do the same on the back straight between turns 4 and 5. MDG comes out of the pits now on another set of intermediates. So Phelan does not want to be fighting with him here. Better off just letting it by, but he doesn't. He goes for a spin, pushes the barrow down too much, and that allows the Haas to go through. Phelan now just needs to take it very, very steady here. He knows he's on the wrong tyres, to be honest with you. He's got to... Oh, it's too risky. And Rabico is in the wall for Red Bull, and he's reset to track, unfortunately. So that is him out of the running for the podium now. Pushed too hard. Down the banking. And Droftis is very close now. It's again with that 6-second margin that would give him the victory as Rabico drops down the order. He knows his race is all but over, to be honest with you. And Phelan, I don't know how he's going to feel after this, to be honest with you. He knew he shouldn't have made that mistake there. He's losing far too much time. He's got nowhere near as much grip as Droftis has. Droftis is now within that 6-second window. And he's most certainly going to take the lead very, very shortly. And that's Phelan going off track. And I think he's going to have to just come in and get the intermediates on, to be honest with you. That's the difference between being on slicks and intermediates in these conditions. Yep, into the pits he comes. And that's him out of the running for the victory now. He's going to fall well down the order as well. So Flicks goes through into second. Reservoir through to third on the road, and it's Martin behind. And then it'll be Colin going up to fifth. Hamster will be sixth. And Phelan rejoins in 7th place. Rabico in the pits and speeding, which gets him another penalty. He'll be another one dropping down the order. And Phelan down to 7th place. Could have been so different for him today. It really, really could have been. Droftis well ahead in the lead by more than 10 seconds over Flicks, with just over a couple of laps remaining in this Portuguese Grand Prix. So with MDG just going past Rabico, actually. We'll look at the penalties now. So MGG at the moment would only get 5 points for finishing 11th, which you see the gap cut down to 33 as far as the championship is concerned. The man with the fastest up of the race is Bills, but he's out of the race, so he wouldn't get that point, unfortunately. So Colin, who's in 5th at the moment, 9 seconds off Martin, who has a 9-second time penalty. So it's going to be very close between who's going to be in 4th position by the time this race is over. Colin now has a time penalty for track limits, so that's his chances of finishing 4th all but gone now, unless Martin makes a mistake somewhere. And Flick's trying to hold off Reservoir and Martin for that final podium, or for 2nd place, I should say. Flicks is ahead once the penalties have been applied. Droftis looking very comfortable at the moment, on course for his 2nd win of the season. A victory here would move him on to 51 points, which will most certainly move him into the top 10. You see the rain coming down harder and harder and harder now. Phelan knows he made a mistake. We're now on the last lap. Droftis on course for victory. It hasn't been easy for him. He's been nip and tuck between himself and Phelan. But he came on and put on the intermediates at the right time as we watch Phelan close in on Hamster for 6th position on the road, but he's not going to finish ahead of him via penalties. He's going to drop down to 8th. Things could have been so different for him. It really, really could have been. And so Hamster remains in front. We'll go back to the leader because Droftis is coming up to lap the Red Bull of Rabico. So Droftis has had a brilliant race and is going to come through and win this one in style. Bruges picks up a time penalty for track limits, which won't affect his race finishing position. Here's Droftis into the banking for the last time. He's going to win the C1 race here in Portimao. Droftis wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. His second win of the campaign, and deservedly so. Flicks is going to come through for P2. Very, very well done to him. That will move him up the championship order very nicely. Reservoir on the podium on debut. Very well done to him. Martin 4th. Colin only 5th for him. Could have been out of the race earlier on. And then we've got Hamster, who will hold off Phelan. Hamster will finish 6th. Phelan will drop behind Cynics. And then we've got Bruges coming home in 9th place, with Red Dog and MDG the last drivers on the lead lap. So MDG netting 5 points and closing down on the championship gap. Rabico is 12th and down a lap. And Poulter, the last of the finishers home, in 13th place. But what a victory for Droftis in Portugal. And for Aston Martin, who get both of their drivers in the top 3. Brilliant day for them. So there are your drivers, they're your top 3. Droftis, Flicks and Reservoir. Done very well to get themselves up there, quite frankly. And so the final race result sees Droftis win, ahead of Flicks in 2nd place, Reservoir 3rd, Martin 4th, Colin in 5th, ahead of Hamster and Cynics. Phelan in a really disappointing 8th place. It could have been the victory for him, but it wasn't to be. Bruges 9th, Red Dog 10th. MDG was 11th, followed by Rabico and Poulter, who were the last of the finishers. Scotty, Hartnell, Bills, Grimjar and Lurkis were the drivers that dropped out of the race. So the championship, as I've already mentioned, 33 points between Scotty in the lead and MDG in 2nd. The next round of the championship will be in Mexico City in a week's time to see if Scotty will be crowned champion there. Thank you for joining us. Do make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you haven't already done so. And we can't wait to Olive again in a week's time in the C1 category. I'm Tom Cairns, and I will speak to you again soon when the CDR returns.